Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. I'm very, very excited for this episode. And the reason why, well, there's two reasons. The first is that we're going to be talking about, in this episode, navigating through these monumental times. And who better to have this conversation with than my amazing co-host all the way from Wisconsin in the USA. We've got Kristina Bloom, who is also a spiritual medium as well, amongst being an author and many other things that I'm sure she's going to divulge into later on in this episode. Well, first of all, welcome, Kristina. It's been a while.
Thank you.
How are you keeping?
Yes, it's good to be back. You know, I'm keeping well. I'm keeping well. My life has slowed down considerably, which has given me time to delve back into the arts and find that piece of myself again. So, yeah, it's been good.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
My ears pricked up when you mentioned the arts. Please, can you clarify what you mean by that? I thought you got a cauldron for a second there.
Well, maybe. Let's. No, I have dove back into photography. I love to take pictures. I do it all the time. But really getting into paying attention, I guess, to my photography and, some editing and getting into videography as well. Have a couple of cameras to play with that I have recently come into my possession, and getting out there and playing and recording some things and practicing editing and that sort of thing. So I'm learning new things, getting that part of my brain going. And I've also gotten into oil pastels and drawing, which I had not done in a very long time. I mean, it still looks like a fourth grader did it, but I'm okay with that. Because
as long as you're letting that express itself through you, that is part of the process, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
Amazing. So, wow.
Really enjoying that.
That sounds interesting. And I know you was just talking to me off air there about some of these projects. You're actually in a position now where you are producing them on products such as, is it mugs, shower curtains,
all kinds
bags,
of stuff,
all sorts.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah. I've got it on. I have a what do you call it, merchandise website, Pure Intuitive Magic at Printify, and I have everything from t-shirts to sweatshirts to mugs to blankets, bath accessories, shower curtains, bath mats. All of it is my original design. Some of it is my photography. Yeah. So there are actual prints that you can buy of some of the sunrises and such that I've taken pictures of. And it's fun playing with that website because it's all creativity, and it just kind of gets me out of myself. It gets me out of my head and out of myself and just creating.
Well, it's good to see you glowing again and smiling and full of joy. And so thank you for agreeing to come on this episode with us today.
Your turn. What have you been up to? What are you up to?
Oh, she's thrown me under the bus already. What have I been up to?
That's not throwing you under the bus. That's,
you're being playful,
sharing. Sharing.
It's caring. Okay.
Yes, it is.
So I've mentioned this to you off air as well. I went through a situation a few weeks back. As you know, I had a van. I say that in the past tense. I had a van called Nellie. We traveled all over the UK in Nellie, had some amazing adventures. Well, Nellie, unfortunately, came to a natural end, and Nellie is no more. She's gone to the scrap heap in the sky. And so I was wearing a black armband for a period of time, grieving Nellie because of the journeys we'd gone on. And so I've got another vehicle, but I've gone smaller. I've got a car, and it can't fit all of the equipment in that it did before. But for now, I'm grateful and I'm thankful how that car came about into my life. Lots of synchronicities because at the time I was concerned how I would be getting a vehicle to get me from A to B, and through family and friends, it synchronicities, it came into my life. And so I
I
decided to
love it.
call this vehicle, it's a she, I've called her Flow because of the flow
Nice.
state that the universe brought her in to my life.
Beautiful.
And she's a beautiful little runner, a lovely little runner, as we like to say over here.
Love it.
So
Yes.
yeah, I've been doing that. So I'm grateful for that. Also, I've just come back from a weekend away in Scarborough and York as well this weekend. And you remember that well, don't you, from last year when we both
Two
met up and
lovely
went?
places. Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah. And so that was for me just what the doctor ordered, as they say, because life has been getting pretty overwhelming for me. It's just been work, 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 and there's not enough hours in the week. And you know how that feels, where you're reaching a crescendo point in your life, and you think, if I don't address this soon, something's got to give. And luckily enough for myself, we weren't playing or performing with the band this weekend. And so I took the opportunity with my partner there to arrange a weekend away, and that's what we did. And it was
Nice.
nice not to be in work mode or thinking I've got this to do in this time. I've got to call that person and I've got to go shopping, and just to think about nothing other than being present. And for me, that was the rest and the tonic that I needed. But
Beautiful.
what else has been happening for me? Doing the radio shows like this one, a lot of new topics coming into play from my guides. Some of them catch me off guard. And I think, really? You want me to talk about that? How do I voice that? And again, they bring the inspiration through, and I just allow, simply stepping out the way. So I've been doing that, working with clients. And the other work that I do, I've been nose to the grindstone with that, and just kind of keeping the head above water. But with that being said, I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for how things are unfolding. I couldn't have planned it this way, so I
No.
trust in the universe. But yeah,
Excellent.
long answer, but that's what I'm being honest. That's where I'm at and what I've been.
I love it. I love it. It's you and I, we talked earlier about how we both tend to push, 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 push. And
Yes.
both of us, for different reasons, have been kind of told to sit down and be quiet for a while, gather your energy, gather yourself, gather your joy, gather your peace. Because, when that gate opens again and we're both off and running again, it's going to be a lot. And right now we are
Oof.
being given the break to sit down and gather before the rebuilding starts. Yeah.
Yes, it's been a
Yeah.
tough call. I'll be honest. It's been a tough call
Yeah.
juggling time and responsibility and finance, and which, in many respects, with the inspiration from my guides, has brought this subject matter that we're going to be diving deep with today.
Mhm.
And that is, we're going to be talking about navigating through these monumental times. And I don't know about you, but throughout the years that have gone by up until this one, there hasn't been a year that has this intensity, this
Yeah.
fire, this frustration, aggravation, excitement, a collective of emotions all packed very
Yeah.
tightly into 1 year. And we're only in March.
I
Crying
know.
out loud.
Oh,
What's to
this is,
come if this is just March?
oh, yeah. Yeah. And we're more than halfway through March now. We're almost to the end of March at this
Well,
point.
this is
So,
it. And where did
yeah.
March go? It's just
I don't even know where
almost,
January and February went. Okay, so
it is
March,
flying
no
by.
idea. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been a lot packed into a short amount of time worldwide, not just
Exactly.
personally.
Yeah.
Worldwide, it's been crazy. Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
that leads me into the chaos in the world, and
Oh God.
what have you observed? What's been reported to you by the news, and what are you feeling energetically
Well,
is
first of all, as an
unfolding?
American, I would like to apologize to the rest of the world for the insanity that this country is kind of being forced under. Um,
Okay.
but I feel like, yeah, this has really, the United States has really been a catalyst for a lot of the chaos going on in the world right now. And um, it's I'm not going to get myself into trouble by saying what I'm actually thinking. I will find a polite way of saying
Okay.
it.
I
But
appreciate that.
um, yeah, we all knew that this change was coming, right? We all knew that we were shifting. Well, maybe did not everybody, but I think a lot of us knew that we were shifting from 3D to 5D, right? So we're going into this higher
Yeah.
vibrational energy. Well, what happens if you want to build something? You have to knock down what's in the way, right? You can't build a new building on top of an old building and expect something different,
Yeah.
right? So
Got to get the
at this point,
foundations right.
yeah, right now we're just plowing up foundations even. We're just not even building on old foundations. It's just get rid of all of it and start over. And I think that is what my guides are referring to as, we're getting the rest time now because when we are expected to step up and rebuild, it will be from ground zero, basically, where
Wow.
we're going to be. So all of this chaos that is happening in the world, we can look at it and, from different angles. And I think it's really difficult to not see negative when we're looking at this. And
Mm.
we have crazy people starting wars that don't need to happen and all of this stuff, so this has been, and I know you guys are going through your own stuff in the UK as well, because I've
Oh
been
wow. Yeah.
I-
Politically, yeah, it's crazy.
politically,
Yeah.
politically, this whole world is like it's doing what it has to do to rebuild, and that's that it's being destroyed, in some cases, in many ways where that has to happen. That doesn't mean that I'm a fan of what's happening. It's it's
Mm.
it's a lot. And for those of us who are empathic, man, we are feeling it. We are feeling
Oh
so much
wow.
stuff that isn't ours. I'm sure you are too.
Mm.
Step outside your door and you feel the angst, you feel the anxiety, you feel the fear, you feel all of this, and it's collective. It's not necessarily in each one of us to that degree. It's collective fear and all of this. And I think the good things are coming out of it.
Yeah.
We're seeing people gathering together. We're seeing people, at least in this country, I don't know how it's working there, but at least in this country, we're realizing that our food has been poisoned. Like there is stuff allowed in our food that is illegal to put in your food. Okay. Chemicals and that sort of thing. And so there are people, there are a lot more community gardens. There are a lot more people who are growing their own food, who are, it's small producers are getting more business because we no longer want to go to the supermarkets and buy these mass-produced foods that are not healthy for us. There's so much going on that's out in the open now. And I feel like, okay, so this good stuff is coming out of it, but it's really a lot, a lot
Yeah.
to deal with right now for all of us, I believe.
Would you agree with me, or what is your viewpoint with this? I personally believe that this has been done on many levels by design. And I
Yes.
would say that, if, let's put it back to basic terms, good and bad sides, a good side and a bad side.
Yeah.
I would suggest that the bad side is coming to the end of its cycle of,
Mm-hmm.
shall we say, perceived thriving, and
Mm-hmm.
is gathering on, clutching on to all elements of control in order to continue to have that control vibration over the mass population.
It's trying. It's trying.
And therefore, yeah, like you've said,
Yeah.
these wars and these skirmishes that have just come from nowhere are
Mm-hmm.
encouraged, and money and energy is ploughed into that, in many respects, to put the vibrations of fear out there, so that the mass populations are then projecting their fear about these situations, so
Mhm.
that these, shall we call them bad side, can harvest that vibration, that energy, to gain momentum, to hold on to their infrastructure and place over society. So I don't want to be negative, but I like to state what's actually going off. But also on the flip side of that, by
Yes.
design is also from a spiritual perspective as well, because like you say, in order for the new to to flourish and grow and shine and evolve, we really need to be honest and know what actually has been happening right under our nose in the first place. And when we're aware that we have a choice whether to invest our time, our emotions, our energy into the things that we didn't realize were happening, we can then make that choice and say, well, actually, I don't want this. I want this instead. That's what we
Right.
want.
Right.
So I feel as though there's a balancing act
There is.
that's
There
happening
is
at the moment.
absolutely. Yeah. I agree 100%. There is definitely a balancing act, but and not but and
Mm,
we are seeing more of the dark because more of the light is being shown on it.
yes, that's a great way of putting it, actually. Yeah.
We can't see what's in the dark unless you turn on a light, right? So
Wow,
the
I love
light is
that.
being shown on all of this stuff that has
Yeah.
been there that many of us have not been aware of. Um, and of course, everybody who has been aware of it for decades is going, see, we told you,
Yeah,
you
not
know,
in a cocky way, but
not in a
just in
cocky
a
way, but they're
yeah,
like, thank God other people are waking up. Thank
yeah.
goodness other people are seeing this now. And I do believe that that was kind of the design all along, was that all of the dark stuff that's been happening, it's not going to allow it to be continued to happening because it is so blatantly
Mm,
obvious at this point that people are going, wait a minute. Is that really necessary? That's not necessary. No, we're not going to support that. So I do believe that there is that aspect of it that's coming up and going, okay, do you see it now? Because we're done with this. We're not going to
yeah.
allow this to continue anymore. And I feel like that's where we're getting to. And
Well,
I
it's
feel like we're
yeah.
more there than halfway. We are more than halfway there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, it's gone to that stage as well now where at one time people would say, oh, that's not happening in my country. It doesn't matter. I'm all right. I don't need to focus on that. But in actual fact, it's affecting every single one of us on planet Earth, because the
Yes.
cost of living, just to live your basic staple
Yeah.
life, no thrills attached to this, has
Hmm.
had an impact by everything that's happening in the world. So no longer can you ignore the fact. And instead, people are saying, well, I don't like this. This isn't right. This isn't
Hmm.
fair. How are we going to support ourselves and cater for our basic needs? And like you say, this is where people are speaking up and saying, I don't want this. I want this instead. That gift of contrast that we wouldn't have reached hadn't it have been for this situation, because a lot of people would have just put their head in the sand and carried on, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, don't matter.
Yeah.
We can get the food. But now it's having this impact. And to many people, it's again, I feel as though it can bring up the element of fear and worry
Hmm.
and concern, which is almost like
Yeah.
an energy harvesting farm that is being done again by design to add to this vibration. And we're
Absolutely.
not bringing this topic up to pull the vibrations down any further. We're just wanting to raise that into your consciousness to make you aware that, it is right under our nose now, and it would be a perfect time for you to actually make a choice on what you align with and what you
Yeah.
want and what you desire.
Absolutely. For everyone, we are being offered from the universe, I believe, the opportunity to say, you know, maybe we are not the top of the food chain because no other animal pays to live on this planet.
Mm,
Why are we paying to live on this planet? And I think that that is something that a lot of us are going, yeah, is it really worth having all the stuff? Is it really worth having all the convenience? And convenience is hard to give up. There is no doubt about that. Convenience is difficult to
Oh,
give up.
definitely.
For I can't imagine anyone not struggling somewhat with giving up convenience. Um, I know that where both you and I live, within 10 minutes, there's at least one supermarket, right?
Oh,
There's,
yes, and the rest. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and the rest, right? So sometimes that's difficult to give up, but maybe we don't have to give it up. Maybe we just have to be more conscious about the choices that we make. And not
Yeah.
just in spending money, but where we spend our energy, where we spend our time,
Mm.
where we spend our essence. Where do we want that to be? Where do we want to invest ourselves on every level?
I like that. And with 3D moving into 5D, I would say we're very much invested in 5D now as a
Hmm.
collective. The truth vibrations are becoming more obvious in every single moment, in every
Hmm.
decision that we make. Yes, we can hear the words, we can see the actions, but we know that something's off. We feel it
Yes.
in our vibration. We don't know how we know, we just know. And
Yeah.
I personally have observed lots of people that aren't into what we're talking about, spiritualism and energy, that are
Hmm.
experiencing it for themselves. But if you were to say to them, and I'm not being judgmental, well, actually, you're connecting in with your intuition, and it's your intuition that's telling you that that is the mechanics, what's happening behind that feeling that you talk about. They would say, no, no, I'm about as psychic as a brick. No, that's not
Yes.
me. But everybody has the ability to do what we're talking about and, what we
Absolutely.
experience, definitely. With this being the case, not only have I observed other people, but I've experienced it myself, and I'm sure you will have had vibrational misalignments. What have you noticed in
Yeah.
this year of 2026 that these vibrational misalignments that you've experienced?
I think I've noticed it most with people, with
Okay.
other people, not just with myself, but um, with different friend groups shifting and moving. The people that we used to align with, maybe we don't align with them so much anymore. And these
Mhm.
other people who we do align with are stepping into our lives. And I feel like when we pay attention to that, then we step out of the misalignment and back into alignment. And sometimes we fight really hard to hold on to people we just need to let go. And that can be specifically disturbing when it's family members, siblings, or even parents or children, when adult children. I want to be clear about that, adult children.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think that that can be particularly difficult because those strings are there. Those heartstrings are there. Those genetic strings are there. And sometimes, I mean, I'm watching on social media almost on a daily basis, watching people just going, I can't deal with these people anymore. I just that we're just not lining up. We're not a match anymore. I don't know what's going on here. A lot of shifting in romantic relationships, more
Yeah.
divorces, more marriages, more new relationships, more letting go. Where it's a lot of that going on where people are. A friend of mine used to always say, water finds its own level, right? So as our levels are changing, so are the other people that we're swimming around in these waters with. It's changing because we're changing. And I don't know how else to say that, I guess. I think that's the best way I can say it.
Mm. Yeah, that's you raised some really good points there. And I can align with what you're saying on a personal note. Vibrational misalignments for me began, I would say, in December, and I held my hands up to the universe and said, "Okay, Sarah, whatever will be, will be. I hand it over to you now. I'm out of ideas. I no longer am running the show, so to speak, although I have choice, obviously, but I was out of ideas. And at that stage, I was blessed in terms of a personal relationship. You know, I gave up the misalignment that I was having to be single all of the time. And I gave up that idea and that vibration by declaring that to the universe.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for romance or anything like that. And hey ho, it came into my life.
There you are.
So I got into alignment by grieving the misalignment for me personally. And
that makes sense.
honestly, it is a blessing in disguise. My partner is, my guides were saying for many years, you know, you already know this lady. And I was like,
Yeah.
really? And I was
And
like,
I remember that came through in a reading I did for you, and you
yes.
argued with me.
And I was like, well, who then? Who? Tell me who. And they wouldn't. There
No,
was
no, it's
laughing.
not somebody I know. I would already know it.
There was giggling. And anyway, it happened
Yeah.
to be that it wasn't somebody that I hadn't seen for many, many, many years, but I'd known for many, many years. And vibrationally, we just match. And, you know, everything started to come into alignment. So, on many levels, there, the vibrational misalignments for me, I would say, was an old chapter playing out where I wanted to be in control and have all the answers and know all this, all the details. And I just gave that up. And in doing so, it allowed the universe, the creator energy, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, to finally, you know, step in front and deliver these things that have been taking so long to come in. And this is not a criticism against my guides and the universe. This is, I would say, an observation of how I was behaving. You know,
That makes
there's
sense.
that sort of like, okay, I kind of did this to myself with having those thoughts of control and all of that. So yeah, so getting into alignment is a grieving process, and where you have to kind of not start from total beginning, but you have to have that curious nature within yourself to and that sort of going with the flow and trusting the connection that you're experiencing or the opportunities what land at your feet there.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I've been noticing since the latter part of last year. But also on another level, with this energy ramping up and being so blatantly obvious to even the most of unsensitive people out there.
Yeah.
We're beginning to notice there's a system overload and people are getting overly stimulated. Have you observed that yourself
I
over
have.
there in the States?
Yeah, I have. There's a lot more, how do I say this, bickering,
Okay.
people dividing themselves into two factions and bickering between themselves, arguing between themselves, and not realizing that there are more than two options. You don't have to be this or that, but we have really, and I feel like this has been very much influenced through media, through politics.
Yeah.
Pick a side, pick a side, pick a side. And I feel like when we pick a side, we automatically make other people the bad people. And that doesn't sit right with me. But I see a lot of people doing it, and people are so overstimulated where I can look at posts on, say, so on Facebook, say, from, people who are claiming one side or the other and putting out information, and just everything in my intuition goes, there might be a kernel of truth in there, but this isn't all true. And it's on both sides.
Mm.
you know. Um, I don't know what the sides are called in your country, but it doesn't even really matter, right? So we have conservatives and liberals, basically.
Yeah.
And they're arguing and calling each other evil. And I'm just sitting there going, are they though? Are they really evil? Or do they just not agree with you? You know?
We
Um,
have a saying over here about the political parties and that is they're both cheeks on the same arse.
yes, yes, yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Read
I
between the
see a lot
line.
of, yeah, read between the line. Exactly. Um, or, different wings on the same bird, whatever the analogy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like yours better. It's more appropriate.
Yes, but you mentioned
Yeah.
with the social media and the general media that's
Hmm.
sort of amping this game up there, this division
Yeah.
process. And it's like at one time you could turn the TV off, you could turn the radio off. We have handheld devices. Most people have them on continually because they use them for their alarm clock and work commitments and their diaries. Everything's on there, and so we're being bombarded whether we like it or not 24 hours a day. And
Yeah.
sometimes that can lead to, like we say, overstimulation. And maybe out of frustration we say, oh yeah, what the hell, yeah, I'll do, vote for you, I'll do this, I'll do that. Yeah,
Hmm.
just be quiet now, give
Hmm.
me some rest.
Yes,
And that's part of the sales pitch, isn't it, in many
it
respects,
is.
to wear you down.
It is. It is part of the sales pitch. And, there's a pretty pervasive thought here that it doesn't really matter who you vote for. You know what I mean? I think it does
Hmm.
matter. I think that it does matter if you're voting for, people who care about people and people who don't. But there's this whole, well, what difference is it going to make? What difference will it make if I vote? It's not going to make any difference. It's still going to be the same thing. And maybe it will and maybe it won't. But I feel like as long as we allow only two choices to really step into the arena, we're still going to get one arse cheek or the other, you
Yes,
know?
exactly. Yeah.
So, not allowing for more choices, I think, is part of what's adding to the overstimulation, to the overload, because we're kind of allowing ourselves to be pigeonholed, and most of us aren't aware of it, but allowing ourselves to be pigeonholed one way or the other. And that's never going to bring peace, not internal or external.
It's taken us away from that personal responsibility,
Hmm.
isn't it? Where,
Yeah.
back way back in the day, where communities would form and, we'd create our own way of living rather than
Hmm.
listening to others. We would listen to everybody within that. Everybody would have a
Hmm.
say and work together. And it's simply not going that way. But also with the overload, on another vibrational level there, with the vibrations changing, there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
are experiencing anxiety, social anxiety, nervousness. Their physicality in their body is changing as well because of this overstimulating. A lot of people are finding themselves running away from it and finding
Yes.
their sacred space and just kind of waiting in that sacred space, whatever that looks like for that individual, whether it's their
Hmm.
home, a room in the home, or their vehicle, or whatever. They're going to that go-to space just to get calm, get their nervous system, to a level that they can function better. And so I've noticed a lot of people doing that. And in many respects, excuse me, with handheld devices, a lot of people are using that as their safe space rather than
Hmm.
interacting with those around them. So they're
Yes.
zoning out, and there's a lot of that that's happening at the moment.
Right. Right. And something that just popped into my head,
Mm,
people found a way to do that without the handheld devices. People found a way to zone out their environment without that, to go into a safe space. A
yeah,
reading comes to mind, people who read fiction and get really involved in the
of
characters and
course.
that sort of thing. So even without the screens and the handheld devices, there were still words, there were still fishing, which
Uh,
was, you know, I mean, I grew up in a kind of a rural state for the most part. We have a couple of cities, that actually qualify as cities, but for the most part, we're a bunch of rural towns with rivers and lakes and whatever. People would get into things like that to tune out the world. going in different directions and whatever. But I think that we have made it much more convenient by having it right in our hands.
Yeah.
It's the same coping mechanism. It's just a different direction.
That's interesting. I never would have thought of that with the books. Yeah, so we've always had that opportunity to zone out, haven't we, as well? Um, with this being the case, whether it is with books or magazines, publications, or electronic devices, would you say that there's always been this opportunity for subliminal messaging to be put in that device or that substrate, that magazine, in order to
Abs-
control and re-educate and maybe change the narrative of that individual's way of thinking?
Absolutely. And, I mean, one of the most obvious things that has been going on for, I don't know, since magazines started more than a
Hmm.
century ago, is targeting women. You have to look a
Okay.
certain way. Use
Yes.
this product
Yeah.
to look this way. Wear this makeup, wear that makeup, use this hair product, lose 10 pounds, you know, where it's a lot of targeted at control of people, but it's obvious targeting control of women. And I'm sure that I know that it happens with men as well, where men are targeted for different. You can speak to that better than I can as far as the subliminal, messaging and stuff. But yeah, I think as long as there's been printed materials, and then of course when radio stations became a thing,
Oh, of course.
boy, it did
Yeah.
not take advertisers very long to figure out how to manipulate people through subliminal marketing.
That's it, isn't it? With those
Yeah.
key words, those buzzwords, and the way
Mm-hmm.
that words were pronounced and presented and
Yes.
emphasized can almost hypnotically infuse that into your subliminal mind.
Right.
I believe, was it in the 1950s after the Second World War? There was a lot of marketing when they were rebuilding back the economies. Like you said there with women and with housewives and things, they were
Mm-hmm.
promoted that they needed these gadgets in the home for the kitchen to make their life more easier,
Mm-hmm.
functional as well. And so there was a lot of sales generated, like you say, using
Yeah.
this. Would you call it Minecraft of subliminal messaging?
I believe
Uh,
so. Yeah.
yeah.
It
So,
is mind crafting, not to be confused with the video game.
yes, definitely. Yes, I like that
Um,
distinction there.
yeah, I do believe that, and how do men make themselves more attractive? Well, you buy this car, you
Yes.
know? You know, buy your lady this ring that's way out of your budget,
Yes.
and the diamond industry saying, well, an engagement ring should cost 3 months' salary. Who made up that stupid idea? They did, and it worked.
Well, I didn't hear the message, so.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, but that's really like you go to a jeweler in the States and they'll say, well, this is the rule of thumb.
Wow.
Whose thumb and why?
Yeah. My
You
thumb's not
know?
as big as that.
No. But I mean, but I'm saying though that the targeted messaging like that,
Is there?
it has been very successful. And people are also waking up to that and going, I don't need that. I don't need to do that.
Mm.
That's not
Mm.
necessary.
And I think there's a lot of that happening more so in this year. Like we say, we're being bombarded 24/7.
24/7.
And a lot of people, particularly, I would say the young people that are in the world at the moment, are realizing that and they don't know why it's happening, but they feel it in their energy field.
Mm-hmm.
And it's making them feel, not wanting to be part of a world that they don't understand anymore.
Yeah.
And it's very saddening to watch, but you can understand their plight at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, how how do we guide people through this situation?
Yeah. It's tough.
Mm.
The younger generations, like your kids and even mine. I had one millennial and one Gen Z, you know, based on when they were born. And yeah, you see the difference where they're going, why are you people killing yourselves for stuff? That doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this?
Mm.
It doesn't make sense to do this. Why is living so expensive that it takes four people to rent a two-bedroom apartment? You know, why are we doing this? You know, and I really feel like, you know, those are the people coming up now who are going to say, we're not going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
We're just not. We're not going to keep doing this. So it's time to knock down the system and start over. But it was, I think, our generation that started knocking down the system, you know,
Chipping
going,
away at it. Yeah.
chipping away at it, you know, chipping away at it. Because I don't know about you, but I watched my parents just work themselves down to bare knuckles, you know,
Wow.
just working, working, working all the time, two, three,
Yeah.
four jobs. And you're doing it now with three jobs,
I
you
am,
know?
yeah, and I'm feeling the plight of that, but
Yeah. Yeah. And then
needs must, yeah,
the toll it takes on your mental health, the toll it takes on your spiritual health, you know, when you're so exhausted, you can't take 10 minutes to meditate because you just can't shut your brain down enough to do it.
yeah.
You know, it takes a toll on every level. And I feel like that's been engineered too.
Oh,
Keep,
definitely, yeah. If you
keep
keep them
people
busy,
struggling and you can control them. And we have generations coming up now who are saying, I didn't give permission to be controlled.
yeah, they have that courage. I have
Yeah.
noticed that. I'm not doing
Yeah.
that,
I'm not
and
doing that. Yeah.
anybody else will say, "Well, why won't you do that?" I'm not doing it, just not doing it, and they put their anchors down, and they will not move. Um,
Good for them. They're teaching us.
they are, but they're very
Yeah.
intuitive. I feel that they,
Yeah.
given the opportunity, they've got lots of solutions to problems
Hmm.
where they look outside of the box.
They do.
They may not have the business sense in that respect, but they do have the inspiration. And I
Hmm.
feel that that's, like you've said, that's what's going to take us forward as a species.
Yeah.
And we just need to observe these special people that are coming in.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And you know, it's like I look at you know specifically the Gen Zs, I guess, and the mental health toll that they are absorbing is outrageous. You know, the mental health of just like everything in them says none of this is correct. And yet they're still kind of, because they live on this planet, being forced to deal with a lot of the incorrectness in their minds. And that mental health thing has been, I mean, both of us have experienced it with our kids, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
where it's tough. And um I sometimes I don't know what to say to them, you know, because you still have to eat. You know,
That's it.
you you still have to eat. You still have to have some kind of shelter, you know. And I've seen, I don't know if you've seen this meme, although I think I mentioned it to you when I was in England last year about, you know, how living in a van by the river used to be a failure. Now it's a life goal. You know?
Yes, yeah, it is, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
is.
it's
Yeah.
freedom.
It's freedom. And I think that that is what we have over the last how many generations given up is freedom. And our kids are coming in and going, well, that was dumb. I'm not doing that.
Just like that. Yeah.
Just like that. I'm not dumb. I'm not giving up my freedom. I'm not giving up. I'm not going to be tied to a house. I'm not going to be tied to, you know, whatever it is. I'm not going to be tied down to that. And the freedom that's in that is pretty amazing.
So in many respects, they're not so invested or locked into this fear grip that our generation has had placed on itself, whether we
Right.
wanted it or we didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose it goes back to the subliminal messaging in our subconscious minds that if you don't do this, then you're not going to get that. And if you don't do
Mhm.
this and pull the line, you're not going to get that. And they're coming from a new point, like, well, we're not doing it. We want this instead.
Yes. They don't want the same thing, so why do the
No.
same thing?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I like that. Would there
Yeah.
be any mental guidance that you could offer to people maybe watching or listening to this that will, if they're going through this situation at this moment in time, that can help them maybe process it or analyze it or understand what's actually happening with them?
You know what? I am going to quote Mr. Fred Rogers
Okay.
on this one. Okay. Look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. In any disaster, somebody's helping. Who's helping? Look for the helpers. They will lead the way.
I
That's what I would
like that.
say.
I
Yeah.
like that. And a helper could be somebody or something that wouldn't at first glance appear like they're that way inclined.
Right.
So it would be the actions, that leadership energy coming through their presence that
Right.
would, attract you to their vibration.
Yes, I would agree with that. And, a lot of the times the people who end up being the leaders are like, I didn't want to be a leader. Why are you people following me?
Yeah.
You know, but they are the leaders because they are the ones who are showing the example of not going to play. I'm not going to participate in this. I'm just not going to do it. And other people are noticing that and going, yeah, I don't want to play either. I don't like this game. I don't want to play this game anymore. And so the person who is just taking care of themselves basically is all of a sudden a leader who's going, why are you following me?
Yeah, leave me be. And I think that that
Yeah.
is the key, isn't it, to
Yeah.
mental guidance, is to learn to know thyself and trust who
Yes.
you are. Don't be um, influenced by external sources, connect inwardly. And that will
Right.
then have this amazing impact on your mental health because all the pieces of the puzzle will start to come together for you. Whereas if you
Exactly.
try to fit that, your piece of the puzzle, into a puzzle, a global puzzle that you was never meant to fit into in the first place, then you're going to
Right.
feel anxiety. You're going to feel stressed, aren't you? And worried and
Exactly.
anxious.
Yeah, exactly. It's the if you feel like you don't fit in, maybe it's because you're here to change the world, you know?
I like
And
that.
one person can't do that. One person can't do that. But if you are here to make changes, then if you focus on that vibration, you will find yourself drawn to, or others drawn to you, of the same vibration. And that is how we are moving from 3D into 5D.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. With this being the case, I'd like to tap into spiritual guidance. Is there anything that you're being told by your spirit guides or what you feel intuitively about this
Hmm.
year moving forward? I'm sorry to throw you under the bus, but you're
No,
used to
you're
it
not
by now.
sorry.
You
You're
love
not
me
sorry
doing
at
this to
all.
you.
There is no remorse in that at all.
Well,
Um,
a little maybe.
maybe a little
Little
bit.
bit of compassion there for you. Are you all right, Christina? You haven't got a graze or a bruise, have you?
Not yet, not yet. Um, Actually, yes. We talked last time, I believe, about coming into the year of the fire horse in Chinese astrology.
Yeah.
And, um, the fire horse is not going to be gentle. It's not going to be gentle. First of all, fire is here to burn stuff down, and horses are here to move forward. I know, right? So,
Mm,
we can just sit back and watch. We're watching all of these systems that are burning to the ground.
yeah.
And we are watching the embers fighting to stay alive and stay relevant. They're not going to, So as we are moving forward, this is about being bold. This is about being clear. This is about, not just personally, but societally. It's about moving forward, not allowing ourselves to be dragged backwards. And I don't know if you know anything about horses, if you've ever worked with horses, but you
I've
ever tried to
smelt
drag?
horses.
Have you tried to drag one backwards? They don't
No.
go. They don't go backwards. Well, I mean, you can train them, sometimes
Yeah.
under certain circumstances. But if you're just going to go up and pull on the reins of a horse and say go backwards, you're more likely to get kicked because you have to be standing behind them to pull backwards. You
Oh, I
can't pull
like
backwards from
that.
the front,
I like
you
that.
know. And anyone who's ever been around horses know you don't stand behind a horse because it's going to hurt. So if you're standing behind this fire horse of 2026, expect to get kicked backwards because that horse is not going to go backwards. So, yeah.
Wow. I love that, what you've said. Yeah, very encouraging, very aligning to what we're all going through.
Yeah.
If I could just tap in with
Yeah.
my guidance system
Please.
and ask, after all, it looks lonely under that bus, so I thought I'd come down there and join
Yeah,
you.
come on down. Join me under the bus.
Okay. So, what
We'll
I'm
both get run
feeling
over.
is resistance. What I'm hearing, resistance is futile. You are better off aligning with thyself and feeling into your heart in every step of the journey, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you. Running away from life will only take you further away from your calling and your purpose. It is now time to stand and shine and be your true, authentic self. During these turbulent times, it is important to vibrate the vibration of pure love, peace, healing, and joy. Wherever you can leave pockets of joy in your communities, in your friends and family, no matter what the vehicle of joy may be, then it is your calling and your purpose to be that instigator of this healing vibration. In these changing times, it is encouraged that you are to remain flexible and not fixed by your own chastisement. You are required to move into new territory. And by September of the year of 2026, you will all take a sigh of breath as you move into the next phase of this grand unfoldment, where you will have to put your money where your mouth is and commit to your calling, regardless of how bleak and unimaginative it may seem to you. Your heart and vibrations and healing from your heart will propel you forward and make the necessary alignments and connections that are going to expand and create the heaven on earth that all of you have desired and have made an agreement to be part of this amazing and transformative process. We hope that this information instills that love and that peace through the vibrations, through the voice frequency of this transmission. We leave you with these words to ponder and to align with as you march forward through this epic era of 2026. Wow. So
Wow.
that was
That
just
was
channeled through.
that was beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, guides. I had
Yes.
when I threw myself under the bus alongside of you, I was literally, oh, what am I going to say? So I just handed it over. Bless
Yes.
them. They delivered as
Yes.
always. So
Thank
thank you,
you.
team.
Always. Yes. Yeah, I don't even have to throw you under the bus. You do it to yourself now.
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah. You've taught me well.
Oh yeah, blame it on me. Uh-huh.
So something else I'd like to end on this
Yeah,
episode, and this is talking about physical attunements. You know, the body is an amazing instrument, and I believe we are all a transmitter and receiver of information. Some of that information is not necessarily our own, yet because we're experiencing it in the physical vessel, in our mind, we think because it's our mind, it's ours. And so
right.
we initially take ownership of that, and that ownership of that information or energy or emotion can have a detrimental effect on the physical
Mhm.
body and could potentially cause disalignment, disease within the physical body because there's a belief connected to this, these information and vibrations and energies that are coming in. So, in terms of our physical attunement to our highest vibrations, can you suggest or offer or ask your spirit team anything that would help us through these times of change?
Let's see. Physically, what's coming through for me physically as far as, self-care is not allowing ourselves to get so worn down that we pick up all the different viruses and bacterial infections or whatever going around. Um, Exercise, hydration is huge. They keep showing me big glasses of water. Hydration, stay hydrated. And hydration comes not so much with caffeine and that sort of thing, but with pure water, with hydrogenated water. I actually have a friend of mine gifted me a thing that you put your drinking water into, and this blue light goes through it and cleanses the water and makes it easier for the body to absorb it.
Oh,
And so I'm blessed to have that. But there's to keep our bodies strong and healthy, we need to move, we need to hydrate, we need to eat as the most nutritious foods we can find. And I know that in this country, finding actual nutritious food is very difficult. It's very difficult to find actual nutritious food. Even if you only go to the produce or meat department and meat departments, it's still hard to find anything that isn't grown in poison. Like we are still allowed to use glyphosates, which I know are illegal in the UK. So, a lot of our food is grown in poisonous land. And that's, so if you can afford, and for some reason, the stuff that's not grown in chemicals is more expensive. But, um, you
yeah.
know,
They want to force you down the funnel of the poisons, don't they, with
yes,
that
they sure
choice?
do.
Hmm.
They do. Yeah. So, it really comes down to those three things: hydration, exercise, and the most nutritious food that you can find. Those are the three things. Processed sugars in particular are really bad. And also processed grains that are processed, like not whole grains, are very difficult for the body to digest. And it ends up sitting in our cells and turning into poisons and cancers and that sort of thing. So physical attunement, also aligning with your higher self. Meditation is another important piece. Meditating and just getting into contact with your own spirit, because so many of us have been taught to ignore our spirits. We have been taught, I know better than you because I'm bigger than you, I'm smarter than you, I have all these degrees. Don't listen to your own body. And what we really need to do is listen to our own body and to really connect our souls and our bodies together, because there is so much effort being made to keep those separate. So that's what came through.
I love it. Yeah, some great advice there, looking after the body and the physical temple there with the foods. And
Hmm.
yeah, if I could add to that,
Yes.
what I've been experiencing is that massage is a very important part of looking after the physical body.
Mhm.
Getting some of that hidden tension out of the muscles and the stress and the strain that we all carry in the physical body. A lot of people carry that in the neck and the shoulders area and the back of the neck there. Just having or going to see a professional just to ease some of that tension out of the physical body and release some of those trapped energies there that the body holds on to. You're quite right. I would agree with you with the exercise. Yeah, getting that balance right. So the body, it yearns for exercise and movement. It's what keeps the body flourishing, the blood flowing, the air going through the physical vessel, keeping it, vital there as well. So keeping that balance right, with resting, with movement, with exercise, and then releasing with the stressors with massage as well. I'd also recommend, this may be just me being a musician, that you involve yourself in vibrational work, whether music, listening to music, performing music, or like we've mentioned, maybe shaking out some of those old stiff energies that you've been hanging on to as well. And then I agree with you, yes, with the attunement with the mind, body, and spirit, and getting that balance right as well is very, very important. And as you quite rightly said, we're encouraged not to bring those elements together.
Yeah.
Because as we know, when we are in balance with all of those energies, then this is when life takes on a new level. And this is when we take that creator vibration back and we discover that we are our own creators and that we can literally bringing miracles and align with miracles a lot better when we're completely balanced with all those three elements. And going on to what you were saying about food and substances and things of that nature, I would suggest that listening to your body, it knows what it needs.
It does.
And so a lot of the time, the body doesn't need a big, giant meal, a plate stacked up full of food, because that's going to cause it trauma, distress processing that food. It's going to drain your vitality, your energy. You're going to feel like you need to lie down so little and often with your portion sizes. And then you'll have a craving for certain foods, what the body is craving, what it needs to be at its optimum best. So listening to those cravings mindfully, because it's easy to say, oh, I love a bit of chocolate. Oh, I need some chocolate. I'm craving chocolate. My body needs chocolate. And I'd be guilty in saying that myself. But,
Mr. Biscuits, yes.
Yes. But really, does your body need that? Really? When you're listening, paying attention, it will tell you. For me personally, at the moment, I mean, I've had some food before we've done the recording session today. And I just felt like I needed to have noodles, some anchovies, some olives, and some capers as well. Don't ask me why. I needed it, and there wasn't a giant plate full. It was very humble portion sizes, but the taste sensation in the palate was phenomenal. And I just feel right. I've got that balance right, I feel anyway.
Excellent.
So it's not something I normally eat, but I felt the urge to do that. So I would say that
sometimes you need
physical attunement. Yes, definitely. Maybe the salts, and that's good for the body, isn't it? The oils as well. I don't know, but yeah. Weird,
I want to touch back on the music.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And I'm pulling you out from under the bus and holding you up on a bit of a pedestal now.
Oh, thank you.
when I go to art therapy, which I do every 2 weeks, I meet with an art therapist and we work, on working through different feelings through art, which is new to me. I think I mentioned that I'm working with oil pastels now. And, but during that time, I pull up Chants Amore on my phone and listen to that while I'm doing because that album it just moves something in me and it's the album that you did, obviously.
Oh, wow.
And it just moves something in me and just really enhances the whole experience of processing those feelings through art, because it's now two layers of art, right? So we've got the
Mm.
physical layer and the musical layer, the vibrational layer.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I can't tell you how much that means to me, and I'll just dive in slightly with this. That particular album was done many, many years ago now when I had my other studio. And it was one of these projects that I worked on at the time was so unusual to everything that was happening that nobody got it and understood it and was like, oh, that's a little bit unusual. And so it was sat on the shelf for many years until my guides said, okay, now's the time. We
Yes.
want you to finalize, master that
Mhm.
album and get it out there. And so hearing that feedback from your good self with that means so much to me because it must have spent 10 years on the shelf, not
Really?
getting out there.
Wow.
And it wasn't for lack of fear or wondering what people would think of it. It just wasn't the right time for
Hmm.
it to be birthed, so to speak. So yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Yeah, it moves something through me, and my art therapist loves it too. So,
Oh, wow. That's good to
yeah,
hear.
yeah.
Well, Kristina, thank you for joining me in this amazing episode where we've discussed navigating through these monumental times. But this is the point of the show where I'd like to invite you to step up to the plate. That's it. And
Okay.
share with the audience how people can maybe book in with you, how they can find out more about you and your work, and where
Okay.
you're going to be next.
Excellent. Well, you can find out more about me and also book in to make an appointment for a mediumship reading, a psychic reading, a past life experience, Akashic Records reading, meet your spirit guides, even card readings over the phone. I like to work with soul cards. Those are wonderful. Um, you can do that through my website at KristinaBloom.com. That's Christina with a K, Bloom with two O's.com. You can do that. You can also get my books from the same website. I have two books available there. Intuitive You, which is the textbook for my Intuitive You class, but it is written in a way where you can also do an independent study, and Wisdom for the Age of Ascension, which seems very appropriate right now as we're going
Mhm.
through all of this. So those are both available. I also have a merchandise site, which is, I put it into the comments here. I want to make sure I read it correctly because if I give it to you incorrectly, you won't get where you're going. So it's pure-intuitive-magic.printify.me. And all of the items on that page are my own original designs. Some of it's design, some of it is words, some of it is photography that I have done where you can buy prints of some of my photography. I have several journals available that the covers are my photography, except for one. And this is where you get involved because it is the, what is the word for I can't think of the word. Into the void. It's our symbol for into the void. That
Okay,
is
yeah.
that is on. You can get stickers. I have stickers available too, but you can get a journal with Into the Void on it, and you can get stickers with Into the Void on it. And I can make more products with that same logo. Logo. There's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool.
you can also find products that have my logo on them. The lotus flower with the K in it. That is my logo. So there's, I think, around 50 products now that are available on that website.
Wow.
And
Loving it.
yeah, so I invite people to go there. Everything, I'm running a spring sale. The entire season of spring, right up to the summer solstice, is on sale at 15% off. So
Wow, you heard it
yeah,
here first, people.
yeah.
Kristina, thank you so much. There's a
Thank
lot going
you.
on. And yeah,
Yeah.
so I employ everybody to go and give it a look and, what you attune with, and of your
Yes,
purchases will help Kristina with the valued work that she does with
absolutely.
everybody. So thank you so much, Kristina.
Thank
If I
you.
could just give a mention, anybody that is wanting any
Please.
of my services, or you're wanting to book in, head over to my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, and you can place your booking directly with me there. There's also products on there as well. There's spiritual development courses, bite-sized independent individual spiritual development classes for you to undertake at your own time. And then there's meditations guided by myself. There's also 3 books available on there, and there's lots of free content there as well. So it's not just about the hard sell. You can go and listen and download to the Full Circle podcast, and also the very radio show that we're talking on at the moment, From Beyond with Glenn Boddice. And so just go and have a good old nosy. But in the meantime, thank you so much, everybody, for watching, listening, and getting involved. If you feel the content and the information that we spoke about in this episode aligns with you or will help anybody in your friends or family circle, then please feel free to either tag them in it or share this episode with it, because that is essentially what it's about. As Kristina and myself, we like to see ourselves as light workers, and if we can help people in any small way by doing these conversations, then that is our intention. So
absolutely,
Kristina, thank you so much for coming on today's episode. I've enjoyed every second of it.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a blessed month, and I look forward to catching up with you very soon, diving even deeper into something other than this weird and wonderful.
I'm just going to toss this out here. Glenn is going to be co-hosting on my show, Mystic Podcast with Kristina Bloom, on April 15th. So make sure you tune into that.
And where do they tune into that? Just to
on my YouTube channel or my Facebook page. But yes, and also on All Access Network Television. So my YouTube channel is Mystic Podcast, or I think it might be, it's Mystic Podcast. Sorry. Yes. So
that's marvelous.
There you go.
Thank you, Kristina. You take care. God bless. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium